focus on it slowly fades.
G'day guys, so it's been almost 2 years since we finished renovating our old 16-foot Millard Mini Poptop Sunny, and we wanted to take you through a walkthrough and show you all the features and things that we've added to him. We also wanted to show you how it's held up after 2 years, so all the things that have worked really well and some things that we would change in the future. So stick around and we hope you enjoy it. A few quick specs just before we get started. Sunny's a 1978 Millard Mini Poptop. It's 16 foot long, 6 foot 6 wide. After the renovations, it weighs in just shy of 1,300 kilos with a GVM of 1680. So starting at the front of the van, we've got our 4-way polyblock coupling, our off-road hitch and jockey wheel, which came in the trailer kit that we bought for Sunny. We made a new drawbar. It's about 500mm longer than the standard one, and it's 100 by 50 by 3mm RHS. As you can see, it has rusted up a little bit on our lap. We obviously went down a lot of gravel roads, and without a stone guard on the back of the ute, it got pretty stone chipped and they've now rusted. So it doesn't look as pretty, but this is the reason we wanted to do this video. We wanted to show you how it's held up after 2 years of travel and just weekends away. So we've also got a toolbox that we keep our hot water unit, a gas bottle, leveling ramps, things like that in there. And our spare tyre is mounted to the front. Behind our toolbox is where we keep our diesel heater tank. So it's a 10-litre tank that came with the diesel heater. It's tucked behind there, away from stones and things. We also replaced the front of the van with a sheet of checker plate. So I think it's 1.6mm. The standard cladding along the front there was pitted and had a few little holes in it from years of traveling. And as you can see too, without that stone guard on the back of the ute, the window shade on the front there got absolutely peppered. So we're going to have to respray that one. When we renovated this window shade, we added some new clips because the old ones were rusted and no good. And we put some new window stays on as well. And that just lets in some nice natural light on the inside of the van and also protects those front windows from stone chips while you're driving. So when we renovated Sunny, we added electric brakes, and for the electric brake controller, we're running the Elect Brakes electric brake controller, and it's mounted on the drawbar underneath there, tucked up out of the way. Also behind the toolbox there, tucked away, we've also mounted a tap up on the drawbar just to wash our hands and things on the outside of the van. So here we have our Kick-Ass Instant Hot Water Unit. We added these little D-rings to the window and we hang that there. And we've also added a quick connect fitting for our gas bottle. And under the van, we've also added some quick connect fittings there. So all we need to do is hang the hot water unit up and there's no tools involved. You just plug the hot and cold water line in and plug the gas bottle in. I hook the gas up and we've got hot water plumbed to all outlets in our van. So the kitchen sink, the slide out kitchen and our shower inside, which we'll show you soon. So while it's not your typical caravan awning, we went with the Bushwhacker 180-degree awning that we bought secondhand. So we went with that because when it's open, it basically covers the whole width of the van, even though the sides do taper in, and it's a freestanding awning. So we have it pegged down at the moment because yesterday the wind picked up. But yeah, you can run it freestanding, which is really convenient if you want to just quickly stop and open it up. So this spot here is where the original fridge vent was. The original fridge was on the inside just here, but because we've moved where the fridge is, so the fridge is now beside the door there, we didn't want to leave a big vent there that was doing nothing. It's only just a spot for dust and water and things to get in. So we blanked it off with a piece of aluminium composite panel, but then we thought that's going to look odd too, just having a big white panel there for no reason. So we decided to turn it into a drop-down table. So we made another table here just out of some aluminium framing and sheeted it with the composite panel and used the pole from our old King's awning that broke as a leg. And we've just got a couple of over center latches here. Unhook that, drop that down, and that way you can adjust the leg to whatever height. And we use that mostly for when we're cooking and we want to sit the Weber on there, or we put our drying rack on there as well after we wash up, or just to sit out here and eat dinner. Saves us carrying an additional table. We've also added a 12-volt SIG socket and USB outlet at the top there, which is faded a little bit. And we've also got a 10-amp outlet there, which is wired up to the inverter, so we can have power out here if we want to run the induction cooktop or the kettle or anything like that outside. So while we still have a kitchen on the inside of the van, we wanted to do most of our cooking on the outside. So we've added a slide out kitchen. We've added this hatch here and we've built this slide out kitchen. Our slide out kitchen has our gas cooktop, and underneath here we've made this a bit of a lid so we can store the gas cooker in while we're driving. And we've also got our drying rack. So we usually sit that here when we wash up. And we set our gas cooker up. This is one we've had for a while. It works really good. It's looking a bit worse for wear at the moment, but it still, I reckon, cooks better than our cooktop at home. And we just hooked that up to our gas bottle under the van there. So for the sink, this is just a cheap eBay sink, and we've made up some hot and cold water lines and plumbed the mixer tap up with hot and cold water. So we've got hot and cold quick connect here, and underneath the van we've also got the hot and cold water lines plumbed up. So to hook this up, it's just a matter of hooking the cold up and plugging it into here, and then hooking the hot up and plugging that in here. So now we've got hot and cold water plumbed up to our outdoor kitchen. So there's our cold tap, and when we turn on the hot, it kicks in the hot water unit and we have hot water ready to go. So the sink came with a pretty flimsy drain hose, but that just, you can take that off and it collapses down. You just plug that in, and we just usually run that sink water into a bucket and we can dump that under a tree or something somewhere. So our off-road trailer kit came with our stabilizer legs, so we welded them on. The rear of the van only had the wind down ones, and there actually was no stabilizer legs on the front. So we've got 4 drop down stabilizer legs now. When we repainted Sonny, we wanted to keep the original colours. We're actually a little bit devastated that we had to repaint him because we really loved the original yellow and the paint that was on there, although it was coming off in lots of spots, and we had to replace bits of cladding because they were broken and missing. So we had to repaint it. So we kept the original colour scheme. We wanted to keep it that retro sort of 70s look. So we went with the original, or close as we could find to the original yellow, and then just the white. On this side of the van too, we've got 2 water fillers. So we added 2 water tanks to Sonny. We've got 2 70-litre tanks. I think there was only one, maybe 50-litre or 60-litre tank under the van originally, and had a garden hose plumbed up to it to a plunger on the sink. So we've now got a 12-volt pump, which we'll show you in the van when we go inside. So it's, yeah, hooked up to 2 70-litre tanks. We don't have a grey water tank. All the outlets run to this waste hose here. And when we hook up to a caravan park, we've got the sullage hose that we hook onto that with a quick connect fitting, and that just runs into the grate at the caravan park. So underneath the van here, this is our mains hookup. So that's our pressure reducer. So when we hook up to a caravan park or at a mains water, we plug into that, and everything in the van, we just turn the pump off, and everything in the van is pressurized with mains water and works just the same as it does when the 12-volt pump is on. So these are our 2 water tanks here, and we made some galvanized shields to protect the front of the tanks and the fittings. So with our new suspension and everything, we went with the 50mm square axle, and we went with the 60mm wide leaf springs, the eye-to-eye leaf springs, and we also added 1600 kilo rated shock absorbers to it as well, just to take the bounce out. And yeah, we've added electric brakes. So the wheels and tyres we've got on Sonny, they're a 15 by 7 inch Sunraiser with I think a -20 offset, and they're a 235/75/15 all-terrain tyre. Although it looks a little bit dirty now because we have been travelling, we repainted the chassis and we repainted the underside of the floor in a black bitumen paint. The original pop-top skirt unfortunately had a few rips and things in it, and holes, and the fly screens were all ripped. We got a brand new one made from Bags and Swags. We repainted the roof and fixed up some of the holes and cracks and things that were in it. And we've also added 270 watt solar panels to the roof. To support the weight of the solar panels, we've had to add gas struts to the side. So even just adding one panel, the original scissor struts on the sides just wouldn't even hold that one panel up with the added ceiling we've put in there. So We ditched the 2 side scissor struts and added gas struts to the side. Makes it heaps easier to open the roof. The only difference is now, rather than opening the roof from the middle like it originally did, you have to push one side up and then the other side up, but it opens up so much easier. That's basically the outside of the van in a nutshell. So we'll take you through the inside now and talk about some of the things we've done in there and show you around.
So come in and check out the interior of Sunny.
Windows down, scattered clouds, smell of spring outside. Open road, you sitting close. Let's go somewhere far away. 'Cause if all I have is you, then I'll be just fine.
So this is our dinette area. We have this table here which actually goes down and we can make a single bed, which I find really, really handy. Under the left side of the dinette we have our diesel heater and a little bit of storage. And under the right side of the dinette we have our electrical system. As you can see down here, I'll swap spots. We have placed our fire extinguisher in a really easy, accessible place in case of a fire. We have our diesel heater display and our vent down the bottom built in. And then up the back we have the 2 vents as well for both the diesel heater and electrical system to be able to breathe.
So under this side, we have our 200 amp hour lithium battery. We've got a 20 amp AC charger, 40 amp DC-DC charger, 2000 watt Renogy inverter, and that's got the automatic transfer switch. And then here is our bus bars, isolator switch, and the shunt for our battery monitor. So in this side, we've also run cabling to here, and that's our main fuse box. So all of our accessories run from this fuse block box. We've got our diesel heater here and just some storage under there. We have board games and first aid kit bits and pieces under there as well. So this is the original table. We've just added a new tabletop to it. And we also had to make it a little extension for it because I think someone had cut it down in the past. So to drop it down to a single bed, all you do, loosen off the 2 knobs there until it clicks in. And then the cushions just drop down like that. So we thought, yeah, it'd be really versatile when we have kids in the future, which we've got one on the way. This can be their bed.
So in this space as well, we have our sheer curtains that we made. And we also popped our roller blinds in here as well, just so at night time it darkens the van really nicely. And during the day we have this beautiful like soft light coming through with the sheer.
We've also got a smoke alarm up the top here and our main RCD that runs in from the power, our mains power in.
It's a really nice, comfortable spot, and yeah, when it's raining and like really yucky or windy outside, it's just nice to be able to have this spot to just relax and chill. As we come around from the dinette area, we have our cupboard. We use this cupboard here for all our clothes. We have 2 pigeonholes each while we traveled, and the bottom shelf we used for shoes. So we put all our shoes down there. Just a little thing that when you are traveling, it's always handy to have something so it won't open while you travel, because you may turn up to your destination and things are open and it's not pretty.
Which this one's never opened on us. We also added 3 magnetic catches and we've put soft close hinges in there as well. So nothing slams, which is nice. So in the original layout, it actually had bunk beds here. When we bought the van, they weren't in there, obviously, but there was a random little cupboard, and that was it. So we've maximised our space. We've got our wardrobe there. We added this overhead cupboard. So up here, we've got our battery monitor, so we can see what's coming in and what's coming out. We've also got the remote for our inverter. So when we want to use 240 volt power, it's just a simple switch that on, and then all of our power points in Sunny, are running from the inverter. So again, they're soft close hinges. We didn't add catches to these ones, but we find this cupboard doesn't actually open. I was going to add the fly screen swivel clips there, but we found we haven't really needed it. They both, close and stay closed nicely with those magnetic catches. Because there was bunk beds here in its original layout, it is a funny height benchtop. It's a little bit lower than your standard benchtop height, but we didn't really have any other options on what we could put here. But it's worked out well because we do use this spot to put our microwave on, and it is pretty handy like that to prep things as well while we're getting dinner sorted. So this is predominantly our pantry. So up the top we have our little pantry shelves, drawers that we keep things in. And then underneath that, we have these cane baskets, which are just more storage for socks and undies and other clothes. And underneath, we store just random items, shoes and bits and pieces like that as well. On all of our cupboard doors, other than the overhead cupboard and the wardrobe, we've used the RV Labs latches, and they've never opened on us either. And again, it's all soft close hinges as well. So our fridge is the 90 litre Brass Monkey fridge. It has an LG compressor. It's also got the reversible door. So if you're coming in the doorway, you can open it from that side. You can also open it from this side if you're working in the kitchen. So it also has a little freezer at the top as well. We added 2 drawers under the fridge for a bit more storage. This is a bit of a random drawer. It's got our placemats and things like that. They've also got soft close drawer runners. And this is their drawer, so we keep their biscuits, food, treats, things like that in there, their bowls. Chat, Louis. And they lock by themselves when you close them too. For the bench tops in Sunny, we have Tassie Oak hardwood bench tops. That chopping board you just saw in the top drawer under the fridge, we actually saved the cutout from the sink. That way it can be used as a chopping board, but also to put back in the sink to create more bench space. So for the kitchen area, we've got our adhesive tile splashback, or fake tile adhesive splashback there. We've got a gold mixer tap for the sink. And we've added this little quarter turn stop tap for our ionizer that sat on the bench here. It sort of hooked up to that, and that's that plumbed water into our ionizer when we're traveling. So for the storage in the kitchen, we have these 2 main doors. We've got just some storage under there. We also have our water pump and our hot and cold plumbing and that underneath the sink there. And up here, we have our water tank meter. So we went with the Topper G. It's a flow rate meter. So because we've got 2 70 litre tanks, we set this to 70. And when it's full, you reset it. So it counts backwards. So at the moment, it says we have 33 litres left out of our... So we set it to 70, even though we have 140 litres in total. So when the first 70 runs out, we know we've got another 70 to go. And then also in here, we just have our toaster, our induction cooktop, and bin. And that's pretty much it.
We have our 4 drawers here. We have 2 different sizes. The top one is for the cutlery, so it didn't need to be as deep. And then we have our second one here for plates and cups. These 2 bottom ones, we have our pots and pans and measuring cups and that kind of thing in here, in these ones. And as you can see, we do need to move Louie and Darla out of the road before we open this one. We put a Sirocco fan here, which I think is a really good position because we are able to swivel it this way if we're cooking in the kitchen and it's like getting a bit warm in here. It does reach up at the dinette end too, which is lovely. But if we are in bed, we can also swivel it that way and we are cool with the Sirocco fan. We popped a power point here to run appliances like the toaster or the kettle on 240 volt. And behind the fan here as well, we have our USB outlet. I might just swing this around here so you can see. So we've got 2 USB outlets here, and we can plug our phones in here at night time. We also have a cigarette socket as well. Up this end we have our bed. This is a double bed. Joss and I fit perfectly in it. It's very comfortable. Another thing is we popped these lights, and they're dimmable, in the bed end as well as the dinette end. So what I love about this is that we can control these lights when we are in bed. If you hold your finger on that, they get brighter, and they are quite bright, and you can dim them. I think it's a really great idea to be able to just easily control them from each end.
So we thought, because like the roof or the ceiling is lower either side, we figured there's probably no point wiring them to a light switch. So because you are so close there already, you can just touch it, turn it on, and there is a little blue night light there as well.
One really important thing for us was popping something in here for Louie and Darla, where we weren't going to be walking over their bed and them sort of getting right in the walkway. So we built a bed in here for them. It's a little space that they can snooze in. We don't step on them, and they absolutely love it.
We also put them up on one of those jute mats, because we found when the diesel heater was on in the winter,
the condensation underneath the bed was making the bed wet.
Yeah, so with that little jute mat, like the one here, it just allows for enough airflow underneath that. It stops that condensation, which works really well. So we bought a cheap bed frame from Marketplace to use as our bed base, and we made a frame, and we also mounted it up on gas struts and a hinge at the back, so we can lift the bed up to access underneath for storage. So on the left here, we keep our microwave in one of these containers just so it doesn't move around and get broken. And when we were traveling, as well as our clothes in our wardrobe, we also had a container each of just spare clothes and warmer jackets and things like that we didn't need to use all the time. And on this side, we just kept some spare sheets and towels and things like that as well. So when we want to use the microwave, it's as simple as turning on the inverter, turning on the power point, and then we can reheat some dinners, and it's easy as that. So in its form at the moment, this is just a day bed, so it's quite comfortable. We sit here to have coffee all the time. It's just a really comfortable spot if we're watching a movie up there, or just to lounge around. One thing is, though, when we renovated Sunny, we wanted an indoor shower and toilet. So on our first lap, we just had an ensuite tent that we popped up, and multiple times we get up in the middle of the night, it was blown over. We'd have to wait for it to dry out before we could pack it up. So we could have easily just put a shower awning or something on the side of the van, but we wanted to be inside this time. But at the same time, we didn't want a full-time shower. Because this is a small van, if this was a full-time shower, it would take up heaps of room. So we've made it a flexible shower space. So to turn it into a shower, it's just a matter of removing the cushions. We'll sit up this end. We then lift up the lid and we latch it onto the side of this bench here. And then when we got our new pop-top skirt made from Bags and Swags, we also drew up this shower screen, I guess you could call it. And Joe from Bags and Swags made us this shower screen as well. So it stays in here. We just lift it up, and we've got some hooks on the roof that we latch it to.
It's really easy.
There's our shower. It's still like we can still access the corridor as well, or the hallway. We can still get to bed. We can leave this set up over night time if we want to. So we'll just roll this back to show you. And this is our shower space. So we've waterproofed all this bottom, and we used VersaSeal's product. So it was a a bitumen paint kind of bottom coat, and then it had the white top coat over the top. Then we used the geo fabric in all the joins. Down here we have our shower head that we just lift up, and at the top here we have a Velcro piece of Velcro. So we just simply Velcro that around the shower head, and that just sits there like that. And we can take our mat out. We've got the drain there, which runs down under the van and tees up with the waste hose from the kitchen sink, and that just runs out to the side of the van, and we can hook that up to our waste hose at a caravan park and drain it straight into the grate.
So just to show you the size, I'll jump in. It's very roomy. When we do have a shower, we just sit our portable toilet outside the shower, and when we're finished, we pop it back in. So it's no big deal. It is really nice and roomy, and it's very nice after a long day to have a shower in your own space.
So the other thing as well, you might notice we don't have like an exhaust fan or anything, but we do have a vent at the top of the pop top skirt, and we usually leave that window open when we're showering. So we made this so there is a gap at the top there, and we've never once had an issue with mold or condensation. They're literally just quick rinse, get wet, soap yourself up and rinse yourself off. They're not long enough showers to get all fully, full of steam, and we've never had an issue with mold or anything like that. We always make sure it's dry before we pack it up too. So we have a squeegee up here that we just squeegee all the last little bit of water down the drain, and we usually dry the shower base when we're completely done, and we make sure this is all dry. And so 2 years later, we've never had an issue with mold or anything like that. So on the pop top roof, we've got 2 down lights. So Sunny never had any lights in the pop top roof originally. So we've just wired that up to a switch here. So we turn that on, we have our lights there, and the one underneath that is our oyster light outside.
And we also added a little bar light, which is removable underneath the kitchen. So this one here is a sensor light. So when you turn it on,
you can run it as a sensor light, or just you can turn it on and off.
Yeah. And it's got
three different color modes.
3 different color modes. It's quite nice.
And you can set it to motion sensor as well. So when you walk away from it, it'll turn off. And if you get up out of bed at night, it'll turn back on. For the flooring in Sunny, we went with the clear walnut vinyl flooring from Bunnings. When we resheeted Sunny, before we added the new wall skins on, we put 10mm foil board with the reflective side facing out, and we ran that inside all the walls and inside the pop top roof as well.
So let's talk about the cost.
So we bought Sunny for $5,300, which was too much money. This was our first caravan. We didn't really know too much about it or what we were looking at. Looked good on the outside, and we tried bargaining, but they were pretty firm on the price. But it wasn't until we got it home and started pulling things apart that we discovered a lot of damage. So we definitely paid too much for it. But $5,300 for the van. And how much do you reckon we spent on it all up?
So for renovations, we spent about $15,000. So that's for everything. We did everything bar the electrical work.
We did the electrical work. We just got an electrician to fit off the power points and the RCDs and all that sort of stuff. Otherwise, we did everything ourselves. We just bought bits and pieces as we went along the way. So it doesn't owe us any money. And all up as it sits now, it probably owes us, I would say, about 20K max.
Which is pretty good. And before buying Sunny, we were actually looking at brand new vans, and we sat down with someone and spoke about everything that we wanted, down to like the batteries, solar panels, all of that. And we were quoted $93,000. I mean, I think for what we've got, and we've worked really hard for it, and he's very, very comfortable. He does everything we want him to, and it feels a lot more rewarding, I think. And
it got us around Australia and continues to take us around on trips. And touch wood, we haven't really had any major dramas with it, so it's served us really well, really well.
Yeah.
All right, so with this walkthrough, we could have done it right at the beginning when we first renovated Sunny, so everything was beautiful and fresh and nicely painted. But we wanted to show you the reality of it after traveling for pretty much 7 months straight on our full lap of Australia. We lived in him for a couple of months when we relocated to the mid-north coast, and we've taken it away on lots of different adventures on the weekend since then. And we wanted to show you how it's held up and how everything that we've done has held up the past 2 years. So if you're going to renovate your van and you've maybe watched some of our other videos, this might give you a bit of insight into maybe what not to do, or what we thought worked really well. So we thought we'd just quickly recap on a few of those things.
So, but one thing that we would probably do differently for another renovation would be the roof, or the ceiling. So inside Sunny, we put VJ paneling.
The pine lining boards, the tongue and groove ones that lock in together.
We ended up nailing it.
Yeah, so we use liquid nails and we use a nail gun to secure that to the framing inside the fiberglass pop top. It looked really nice when we first did it.
Yeah, freshly painted, but it's heavy.
It did add a bit of weight to the roof. So like we mentioned before, the original scissor struts did lift it up, but when we put just one panel on the roof, it wouldn't hold the weight of that one panel. So with the two panels, we had to get rid of the scissor struts and add gas struts to it. Another thing that it did, so it not only added a little bit extra weight, it moved a lot. So with the temperature difference and stuff, they sort of expanded and contracted. And I think over time, the glue softened where we liquid nails it to the frame, and the ceiling actually started to come away from the frame in the pop top. So we had to pre-drill and screw those lining boards in on all those all the framing. So that's why you can see all the screws and things in the ceiling.
Our next job will be to
patch those little screws up and
repaint it.
Repaint it. So that's the first thing we do differently. We probably would have just the 3mm ply like we did, the polyester ply like we did on the walls. So another thing that we would do a little bit differently is the splashback in our kitchen inside the van. So we went with the tile splashback, which we like the look of. However, we executed it probably not the best. So there is a wall join just behind the tap in the kitchen there, and you can sort of see that behind the splashback. We thought the vinyl stickers would be a bit thicker and it'd sort of cover it, but yeah, you can sort of see that, and it didn't stick as great. So it looks a little bit tacky. But so we would do that differently next time.
Yeah, one pro to that would be that it's light. Like it doesn't add weight to the van, because this side of the van is the heaviest.
Yeah, because you've got all your drawer runners, the outdoor kitchen, the fridge, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, maybe a better quality one.
Yeah, better quality one. And we would have maybe somehow tried to get rid of that wall join behind it. And I don't know, we could have put down another bit of 3mm ply or something as a backing. But that's something else we would probably do differently.
Yep.
The next thing we would probably like to improve on is our battery system has worked really well. So we've got a 200 amp lithium and we've got 340 watts of solar, and that has done us really well around Australia. What I would do differently is I would put a separate solar controller. So the solar panels are running through our MPPT charger on our DC-DC. I would probably use that solar input for an external blanket and put a Victron separate solar controller in there. So that way we're getting solar while we're driving. So that's something else I might add. And it would have been nice to have maybe another 100 amp hours worth of lithium. Not that we ever run out of battery, but it would just be nice to have that little bit extra.
When we were traveling full time, we got down to 13% battery.
Our lowest.
And that was because we had about 5 days of rain that we just could not get solar.
And we weren't really driving much either to charge it up. So, and we were free camping. So that we got down pretty low there at that one point.
So that's probably just something we would do differently.
And the other thing we probably would do differently and add in the future is a grey water tank. So it didn't really bother us not having one all that much, but there was a few campgrounds that specified you needed to have a grey water tank to stay there. And it was only a handful of times that happened, but we're finding it's getting more and more common that you need a grey water tank. So we've got one. We just need to add that up or add that in, and we'll probably make another video when we do get around to that, and show you how we fit all that up and plumb it all in.
All right, so we went through what we would change. These are the things now that we wouldn't change, and I felt like was a big positive either in what we have done or what we have. So one of those things would be the layout of Sunny and how we have maximized every bit of space in him, but the layout, we love the layout. We feel that when we were in him for 7 months, it wasn't crammy. It was an easy space to live in, especially on the rainy days where you're confined. We had plenty of space.
Another thing that we really enjoyed was our shower inside. It worked really well. We love that it is a flexible shower space. I think it would have felt really creamy if that was a permanently fixed shower. The van's not overly wide. It's only, I think, 2 meters total on the outside of the van. So it's not a very wide van. So having that flexible shower space really opens up the space again when we can pack it down and have our space back. So that worked awesome.
And having the hot and cold as well.
Yeah, having the hot and cold water plumbed to the kitchen sink, the outdoor kitchen and the shower was really handy as well.
Yeah.
Another thing that's worked awesome, so it is an old van, it's a 78 model. We dragged it over some pretty rough roads. We took it over to James Price Point, to Ningaloo and various other, off-road tracks and corrugated roads. Having the upgraded Outback sort of off-road leaf springs and adding the shock absorbers and the bigger tyre, I think all worked really well together. I took a lot of the bounce and vibration out of the van, which I think is important for these old vans, even if you aren't doing it up, like doing the suspension up. I think even just adding shock absorbers can really upgrade the handling of your old van, because the walls, the frames and things aren't made of much, so as much vibration as you can take out, the better. So if you haven't seen it already, guys, on our YouTube, we have episodes from start to finish of our renovations to Sunny. So if you need to know anything specifically, jump on there, have a watch of them. And there's heaps of stuff in the comments as well. We've actually learned a lot of people commenting, giving us suggestions and insights into things we could have done differently. And we're definitely taking all of that on board, and we have already started implementing a few of those things. So use that as a resource, jump in there, have a look in the comments, have a look at all our Caravan Build Series episodes. And yeah, we hope you enjoyed this walkthrough. If you've got any questions regarding our renovations and this walkthrough video, don't forget to comment below and we'll get back to you on that.
But thank you so much for watching, guys. We really appreciate it. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel to stay tuned on any new episodes to come.
Thanks, guys.